Mina walked slowly along the river path with a small paper boat pressed flat in her palm. She had made it at home from a page she did not need anymore. The boat was not perfect, but it looked like it could float. The morning air felt cool on her cheeks, and the trees made soft shade over the path. She liked this place because it felt quiet and far from noise. She also liked the way the water moved like it was thinking. She was supposed to stay closer to the street, but she told herself she would only look for a minute. She listened for adult voices and heard none near her. She kept walking, step by careful step, as if the ground might complain if she moved too fast. She looked down at her shoes and then at the river and then at her boat again. She felt proud that she had made something with her own hands. The river was wider than Mina expected when she came closer. The water carried little leaves, and some leaves spun in circles before moving on. The sunlight made a bright line on the surface, like a long silver ribbon. Mina stood still and watched for a few seconds. She could hear birds in the trees and distant traffic far away. The river did not make loud sound, but it never felt silent. Mina held the boat up at eye level and imagined it sailing like a tiny ship. She pictured it passing under a bridge and reaching a place with clean sand and friendly ducks. She smiled in a small, quiet way, not because she thought it was funny, but because it made her feel calm. She took a breath and stepped nearer to the edge. She did not notice how the ground looked darker where it was wet. She did not notice the thin line where the soil broke into softer mud. Across the path, a police vehicle was parked under a tree. An officer named Tom stood beside it, speaking into a radio with a serious face. He was calm, but his attention stayed on his message. Next to him sat Rex, a trained police dog with a steady posture and alert eyes. Rex was not moving, but he was watching the area with quiet focus. His ears turned toward small sounds that most people ignored. His nose lifted slightly as he caught scents from the wind. To Rex, the world was full of signals. Some signals meant normal life, and some signals meant trouble. When he noticed Mina near the water, he did not bark. He simply stared, and his body grew still in a different way. His eyes tracked her steps and the way she leaned forward. He saw the distance between her shoes and the edge shrink with each moment. He did not know her name, but he understood the shape of danger. Mina crouched down slowly, keeping the paper boat balanced in her hand. She reached out toward the water, trying to place it gently on the surface. The boat touched the water and rocked once like it was waking up. Mina smiled again and pushed it forward with one finger. The boat moved, then paused, then moved again with the current. Mina leaned farther, wanting to see it from a better angle. Her hair fell forward, and she used her shoulder to keep it away from her face. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other. She felt the ground soften under her shoe, but she thought it was only a little mud. She told herself she could stand carefully. She watched the boat glide a short distance, and she felt a warm pride in her chest. She wanted to follow it with her eyes as far as she could. She took another small step, even though she did not need to. The riverbank did not look dangerous, but it was tricky. The top layer of soil looked firm, yet the lower part had been washed by water many times. Small cracks were hidden under leaves and grass. When Mina stepped again, the edge gave a tiny shift. It was not a loud sound, and it was not a big movement, but it changed her balance. Mina froze and tried to step back. Her foot slid, and her knee dipped toward the ground. Her hands reached out on instinct, and her fingers pressed into damp soil. Cold mud touched her skin, and her stomach tightened with fear. Mina looked at the water, and it suddenly looked much closer. The friendly shine turned into something that felt heavy and deep. Mina tried to pull her hands back, but her palms slipped. Her breath came faster, and she made a small sound that was not a scream, but not calm either. She felt her heart pound like a drum inside her chest. Her paper boat continued to float away, and she did not even look at it now. Rex saw the change before anyone else did. He saw Mina's shoulders tense and her head tilt down as she tried to steady herself. He saw the soil crumble in a thin line near her shoe. He also saw that she was alone. Rex's ears lifted high, and his mouth closed tight. He looked once toward Tom, as if asking for permission without words. Tom was still speaking into the radio, his eyes turned away for a moment. Rex looked back at Mina again. Mina's hands slid another inch, and her body leaned forward. Rex rose to his feet, slow at first, like a spring tightening. His paws pressed into the dirt, and he held still for a single breath. He listened for a command, but the moment did not wait. The wind carried Mina's frightened breathing across the path. Rex decided with the clear certainty of training and instinct. Mina tried to move her knee backward, but her shoe slipped again. She felt the edge of the bank crumble under her weight. Her arms shook as she tried to push herself away from the water. The mud did not give her a strong hold. Her eyes widened, and she looked around quickly for help. She saw no one close enough. She tried to call out, but the words did not come the way she wanted. Her voice sounded small in the open air. She felt her body tilt forward again, and she feared she would slide into the river. In her mind she imagined cold water and the strong pull of the current. She imagined not being able to stand. She imagined the water covering her ears and making everything sound far away. The fear made her muscles stiff. She did not know the best way to move, and she moved in short, unsure motions. Rex started running. His movement was fast and direct, not wild, but urgent. His claws tapped the path, and his body stayed low as he sped forward. Tom turned his head at the sound and noticed Rex leaving his side. Tom's face changed as he followed Rex's line of sight. He saw Mina near the edge, crouched low, arms slipping, fear in her posture. Tom ended his radio message quickly and took off after Rex. His boots hit the ground hard as he ran. He called Rex's name, but Rex did not slow down. Rex's eyes stayed fixed on Mina's jacket and the safest point to grip. He had been trained for many things, and one of them was acting quickly without panic. Tom understood that Rex had already judged the moment. Tom pushed himself faster, his breath pulling sharp in his chest. Mina heard fast steps behind her, and she turned her head slightly. She saw a large dog rushing toward her, and for a second she felt confused. Then she saw the police harness and the focused eyes. She felt a thin line of hope cut through her fear. She tried to hold still, not wanting to make the bank move more. Her arms trembled, and her fingers dug into the soil. She kept her knees bent, trying to stay as low as possible. Her eyes stayed on Rex as he got closer. She did not know what he would do, and she was scared of being pulled, but she was more scared of the river. Rex closed the final distance in a few seconds. He slowed at the edge, placing his paws carefully so he did not disturb the loose soil. He lowered his head and prepared to grab her jacket in a safe way. Mina held her breath, waiting for what would happen next. Rex moved closer with careful steps, his body low and steady as if he understood that one wrong move could make things worse. He placed his front paws firmly on the solid ground just before the soft edge. His eyes stayed calm, not sharp or wild, but focused with purpose. Mina watched him with wide eyes, her breathing uneven but quieter than before. She stayed still because something in Rex's posture told her to trust him. The river flowed just inches away, and the sound felt louder now, filling her ears. The cold smell of water mixed with wet soil made her stomach tighten. She felt her arms growing tired as she tried to hold herself in place. Fear sat heavy in her chest, but hope had started to grow beside it. Rex gently grabbed the back of Mina's jacket between his teeth. His grip was firm but controlled, just enough to hold without hurting. Mina gasped softly, surprised by the sudden touch, but she did not pull away. Rex leaned his weight backward, digging his paws into the ground. The soil shifted slightly, but it did not give way. Mina felt a small pull on her shoulders, and her body slid back just a little. That small movement felt like a big change. She pressed her hands harder into the ground, using the moment to help herself. Her fingers found a patch of grass that held better than mud. Her heart beat fast, but now it beat with effort instead of panic. Tom reached them moments later, his breath heavy from running. He dropped to one knee beside Rex, careful not to step too close to the edge. His eyes quickly checked Mina's position and the state of the ground. He spoke calmly, his voice low and steady. He told Mina to stay still and listen to his words. Mina nodded slightly, afraid to move too much. Tom placed one hand on Rex's harness, giving him silent support. With his other hand, he reached toward Mina, stopping just short of touching her. He wanted her to move only when she was ready and balanced. Rex pulled again, slowly and with patience. Mina felt her body shift backward another few inches. The river felt farther now, though it was still close enough to see clearly. Mina moved one knee backward, then the other, following Tom's calm instructions. Her movements were slow and careful, like she was learning to walk again. Each small motion felt important. Her arms shook from effort, but she kept going. Rex stayed steady, never letting go. His breathing was controlled, his body strong but gentle. He did not rush, because he knew rushing could make the ground fail. The soil behind Mina felt firmer as she moved away from the edge. She felt grass under her palms again, and that small detail gave her courage. She pushed herself back a little more, her knees sliding onto safer ground. Tom moved closer now, placing one foot carefully forward. He reached out and held Mina under her arm, adding support without pulling too hard. Together, Rex and Tom guided her backward. Mina felt the tension ease slightly in her body. Her shoulders lowered, and her breathing slowed. She blinked rapidly, trying to clear the tears that had filled her eyes. When Mina was finally far enough from the edge, Rex loosened his grip and stepped back. Tom lifted Mina gently and helped her stand. Her legs felt weak, and she leaned into Tom for balance. The river was now a safe distance away, but Mina still felt its presence like a memory that had not faded yet. Tom guided her a few more steps back, making sure the ground was firm beneath her feet. Rex stood nearby, watching closely, ready to help again if needed. Mina looked down at her hands and saw they were covered in mud. She did not mind. She was too focused on the feeling of standing safely on solid ground. Tom knelt in front of Mina and spoke softly, asking if she was hurt. Mina shook her head, though her lips trembled as she tried to speak. Her voice came out quiet and shaky when she answered. She said she was scared but not hurt. Tom nodded and wrapped his jacket around her shoulders to keep her warm. The air felt colder now that the fear was passing. Mina hugged the jacket close, feeling comforted by its weight. She looked at Rex, who sat calmly with his tail resting on the ground. His eyes met hers, steady and kind. Mina reached out slowly and touched his head. His fur felt warm and real under her fingers. Rex did not move away. He accepted the touch with calm patience. His tail moved once, slow and gentle. Mina felt something settle inside her, a feeling of safety she had not known moments before. Tom smiled slightly, relief clear in his expression. He praised Rex in a quiet voice, telling him he had done well. Rex stayed still, as if he already knew. To him, this was simply what needed to be done. He stayed alert but relaxed, his job complete for now. The river continued to flow in the background, unchanged and indifferent. People nearby had started to notice what happened. A jogger slowed down, and an older man stopped his walk to watch from a distance. No one rushed forward, respecting the space. Tom signaled that everything was under control. He guided Mina toward a bench farther from the river and helped her sit down. Mina's legs still felt shaky, but sitting helped. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. The paper boat she had made was long gone, carried away by the current. She did not feel sad about it anymore. It no longer mattered. As Mina sat there, wrapped in Tom's jacket, she replayed the moment in her mind. The slip, the fear, the cold closeness of the water, and then Rex running toward her. She realized how quickly things had changed. One moment she was playing, and the next she was in danger. That thought made her feel small, but also grateful. She looked at Rex again, sitting quietly like nothing unusual had happened. To Mina, he no longer looked like just a dog. He looked like someone who had chosen to act when it mattered most. Tom stayed beside her, making sure she felt calm before moving again. He asked her simple questions about where she lived and who she was with. Mina answered slowly, her voice growing steadier with each sentence. The fear was fading now, replaced by a tired calm. Rex lay down nearby, his head resting on his paws, but his ears still moved at every sound. He was relaxed but not careless. He watched the river one more time, then looked back at Mina. The danger had passed, but the memory would stay with all of them. Mina sat on the bench holding the jacket tight around her shoulders as her breathing slowly returned to normal. Her hands still shook a little, but the cold fear was fading into a dull memory. She looked at the river from a distance now, and it seemed different than before. The water still moved calmly, but she could feel how strong it was beneath the surface. She realized that the river did not change at all, even when someone was in danger. That thought made her quiet and thoughtful. She pressed her feet firmly into the ground to remind herself that she was safe. Rex stayed close, lying on the grass with his head up and eyes alert. Tom stayed beside her, calm and patient, letting the moment settle naturally. After a short while, Tom gently told Mina that they should move farther away from the river. He helped her stand slowly, making sure she felt steady. Mina took small careful steps, afraid that her legs might fail her again. Each step felt stronger than the last. Rex walked beside them, matching Mina's pace without pulling or pushing. He stayed close enough that she could reach him if she wanted. Mina glanced at him often, finding comfort in his steady presence. They moved toward the patrol vehicle under the tree. The shade felt cooler there, and the solid ground gave Mina confidence. She felt like she was leaving the fear behind with each step. Tom guided Mina to the open door of the vehicle and helped her sit inside on the edge of the seat. He offered her a bottle of water, and she accepted it with both hands. She took small sips, feeling the dryness in her throat fade. The simple action made her feel more real and present again. Rex sat just outside the door, his posture relaxed but watchful. He looked around the area, checking sounds and movement out of habit. Mina watched him closely and noticed how calm he looked. She wondered if he ever felt scared. She wondered how he knew exactly what to do. Tom made a short call on his radio, speaking clearly and calmly. He explained the situation and asked for help to locate Mina's family. His voice stayed steady, as if this was just another part of his job. Mina listened quietly, feeling a strange mix of embarrassment and gratitude. She knew she had gone somewhere she should not have. At the same time, she felt thankful that someone had noticed her in time. Rex stayed still, his ears turning slightly as voices came through the radio. The world seemed to move back into normal rhythm around them. As they waited, Mina's thoughts drifted back to the moment she almost fell. She remembered the way the ground shifted under her foot and how fast fear had taken over. She remembered how her body felt heavy and light at the same time. She thought about how close the river had been and how quickly things could have ended very differently. The thought made her chest feel tight again. She reached out and rested her hand on Rex's back. His fur was warm and solid under her fingers. That simple feeling helped her breathe easier. Rex did not move, but his tail tapped the ground once in response. Tom noticed the small gesture and smiled softly. He told Mina that Rex had been trained for years to protect people. He explained that Rex watched everything around him, even when it looked like he was resting. Mina listened closely, imagining Rex learning and practicing every day. She felt a deep respect for him grow inside her. She realized that Rex had trusted his judgment and acted without waiting. That thought made her feel both small and important at the same time. Small because the world was bigger than she thought. Important because someone had chosen to protect her. A short time later, a familiar voice called Mina's name. She looked up quickly and saw her mother rushing toward the vehicle. Her face was pale with worry, and her steps were hurried. Mina stood up without thinking and ran forward. Tom stepped aside, giving them space. Mina's mother wrapped her arms around her tightly, holding her as if she might disappear. Mina pressed her face into her mother's coat and felt tears finally fall. The fear she had held back came out in that moment. Her mother spoke softly, asking if she was hurt. Mina shook her head and held on tighter. Tom explained what had happened in a clear and respectful way. Mina's mother listened carefully, her eyes moving from Tom to Rex and back again. When she understood the full story, she knelt in front of Rex and thanked him with emotion in her voice. Rex stayed still, calm and quiet, accepting the thanks without reaction. Mina watched the moment and felt proud of him in a way she could not explain. To her, Rex was not just brave. He was kind in a quiet and powerful way. After some time, Mina and her mother prepared to leave. Mina looked back at the river one last time from a safe distance. She did not feel angry at it, and she did not feel curious anymore. She felt respectful. She turned to Rex and gave him one last gentle hug around his neck. Rex stayed still, then lightly licked her hand. Mina smiled for the first time since the incident. Tom reminded Mina to always stay near adults and safe paths. Mina nodded seriously, knowing she would never forget that lesson. As Mina walked away with her mother, Rex returned to Tom's side. Tom knelt and rested a hand on Rex's shoulder, praising him quietly. Rex looked ahead, calm and ready, as if the day was not finished yet. The patrol vehicle stayed parked under the tree, and the river continued to flow in the background. Life moved on, but something had changed. A child had learned how fragile moments could be. A dog had proven the power of awareness and action. And the memory of that day settled quietly into all their hearts, waiting to be remembered when it mattered most. The next morning the river looked calm again as sunlight touched the surface and birds moved between the trees. Nothing showed what had happened the day before. The path was quiet, and only the sound of water moving slowly could be heard. People passed by without knowing how close danger had once been. The river stayed the same, steady and silent, as if it kept its secrets hidden. Far from the river, Mina woke up in her bed feeling tired but safe. She opened her eyes slowly and remembered everything at once. Her chest tightened for a moment, but then she remembered Rex and the strong pull that saved her. She took a deep breath and sat up, holding her blanket close. Mina spent that day staying close to her mother. She did not ask to go out alone, and she did not wander far. Her mother noticed the change and did not question it. She only stayed nearby, watching Mina with quiet care. Mina thought about the river often, but the fear was softer now. It felt like a lesson instead of a threat. When she closed her eyes, she saw Rex running toward her with focus and strength. She remembered how his eyes never showed panic. That memory made her feel protected even when he was not there. At the police station, Tom arrived early for his shift. Rex walked beside him, calm and alert as always. Other officers greeted Rex with smiles and gentle pats. Word of what had happened had already spread among them. They did not speak loudly about it, but there was respect in their voices. Tom checked Rex's harness and gear, making sure everything was in place. Rex stood still, patient and focused, ready for the day. To him, yesterday was not something special. It was simply a moment where action was needed. Later that week, Mina returned to the river path with her mother. They stayed far from the edge and walked only on the solid path. Mina held her mother's hand tightly. She looked at the river again, but this time she did not step closer. She felt no pull toward it. She understood now that beauty could hide danger. They stopped near a bench, and Mina sat down quietly. She watched leaves float by and felt calm instead of curious. Her mother smiled gently, knowing her child had learned something important without words. A few days later, Tom received a small letter at the station. The envelope was simple and had his name written carefully. Inside was a short note from Mina and her mother. The words were written in careful lines and simple language. The note thanked Tom and Rex for saving a life and for watching when no one else noticed. Tom read the note slowly and felt a quiet warmth in his chest. He showed it to Rex, even though Rex could not read. Rex sat beside him, tail moving gently, sensing the calm pride in Tom's voice. The story did not go to the news, and there were no loud announcements. Life continued as it always did. But something small changed in the people who knew. Tom watched the river more carefully during patrols. Rex stayed alert near water areas, always scanning quietly. Mina listened more closely to warnings and trusted her instincts less than before. Her mother held her hand a little tighter when they walked outside. These changes were not loud or dramatic. They were quiet and lasting. One afternoon, Mina saw a police vehicle parked near the school. Her heart jumped when she noticed Rex sitting beside it. She stopped walking and stared for a moment. Rex noticed her and lifted his head. His ears moved forward, and he stood up calmly. Mina felt a smile spread across her face. She walked closer with her mother and waved. Tom recognized her and smiled warmly. Mina stepped forward and thanked Rex again in her soft voice. Rex leaned forward slightly and sniffed her hand, then sat down. The moment felt peaceful and complete. Mina went home that day feeling stronger than before. She drew a picture of a dog by a river and colored it carefully. She wrote Rex's name under it in large letters. She placed the drawing on her wall where she could see it every day. The picture reminded her that help could come from unexpected places. It reminded her that watching carefully could save lives. She did not feel afraid anymore. She felt aware. As weeks passed, the memory of the river slowly faded into something gentle. Mina laughed again and played without worry, but she stayed closer to safe places. Tom continued his work, steady and focused. Rex continued his patrols, watching quietly with sharp eyes and a calm heart. The river continued to flow, unchanged and patient. The world moved forward, carrying the story with it in quiet ways. Some stories are loud and full of noise. Others live quietly in the choices people make after danger passes. This story lived in careful steps, steady hands, and watchful eyes. It lived in a dog who noticed and acted. It lived in a child who learned and remembered. And it lived in the quiet space between danger and safety, where a single moment changed everything without leaving a mark on the water.